Hello everybody, today I'm sharing with you a knife. You see it right in front of you, but this is a knife that I feel is fairly underrated. It is one of the Chinese import knives, and this knife comes in under the Land brand. Sometimes it's called a Sanrenmu, but let me show you the model number right here. This is the GB9-908 Land, and it comes in just a basic little box like this, kind of cheap. Very simple, and the knife itself can be had on eBay for I think around 20 bucks, definitely less than 30. So it's kind of up there compared to the price of a lot of Enland, Sanrenmu, other knives. But I think this one's really been overlooked because it's quite a nice and functional knife. So just take a quick look at it before I open it up. You can see there's a flipper design on here. And this knife is very reminiscent, borderline, maybe even copy of the Dendra Typhoon. I believe this one's a little bit smaller in dimensions than that said knife though. So it fits kind of a nice purpose. Let me show you the blade on this knife. Has a nice satin finish. There's the Land logo on there. There we go. But I just love the satin finish on this knife. I'm not a huge fan of satin finishes on blades, but they did a fairly good job, and at the price point you see this knife at, it's pretty amazing actually. Now the steel is not as amazing. It is a 5CR13 steel, so it's not even up to that 8CR13 standard that most Chinese knives are at today. But the functionality of this knife is pretty amazing, and the reason why I say that, when I first purchased it, it just looked like a ho-hum, basic Chinese knife. But I decided, after taking it apart and cleaning it out, I was going to oil the pivot with some Tough Glide. It does have two of the Teflon washers instead of bronze, but I put a few drops of the Tough Glide here. And I particularly like this Tough Glide with the needle applicator. It makes it very easy to get the lubricant right where you want it. Doesn't make a huge mess. So I recommend this to anybody who owns knives. Very nice little lubricant. But I mean, after I applied that, the blade just flies out of the handle. It is a joy to flip. You can just close this thing under its own weight, very smooth, and you don't see that kind of action unless you're paying a lot more than what this thing costs. So maybe this one was just special, and it's not as representative of the entire brand, but I am very impressed. The knife itself, you can see it has these G10 handles, and they are machined with this vertical lines across it, which gives for a very nice grip. You can see it's all rounded to give you a nice grip in hand. No blade play at all. Let me show you the lock up here. Turn the light on. There we go. You can see the lockup is nice and early. After disassembling it and reassembling it, it has not budged. Pocket clip is a downside. It's only tip down carry on the right hand side, and it looks fairly generic. But this action, it is just amazingly nice for this price. And you can see I'm just dropping the blade right back into the handle. Once it gets past that detent, it just flies out. So the centering is perfect. That blade is right there in the middle of the handle. Just overall an amazing little knife. Back spacer is in there, G10 back spacer. Blade itself is 3.5 inches long, so it really does fulfill that role of an EDC knife, maybe even tactical knife if you're inclined to do that. You can see the blade itself has a nice recurve on it. Amazing little swedge up at the top. But this is just, I think, underrated. Yeah, I have not heard of this knife, before I just started browsing eBay and seeing what different knives were available under the Land Itself brand. So this one is pretty impressive, so I would recommend checking it out. I know when you buy these Chinese knives, sometimes you get a lemon, sometimes you get a great one like I did here. But just keep an eye out for them, perhaps. Like this one in particular, I got for around $10, because this one was a pre-owned one, and someone was just looking to clear out their collection. So you can jump on deals like that every once in a while on eBay and really luck out. The Chinese knives don't always have the greatest hardware. With the screws, they tend to strip, and I believe a few of them were stripped on this knife as well. But I was still able to get it taken apart, still able to reassemble it without an issue. And again, once I put that Tough Glide on there, this knife has just responded very well. No matter what position it's in, you just get very positive action. So if you're looking for a budget knife that will serve you well, a little bit lower steel, 5CR13 I mentioned, this one could do it. But it's so slick. This one's fun just to hold and play with and fondle. Playing with that action. No, I didn't go out that time. But very nice little knife here. There we go. Gonna let it focus. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. But otherwise, check this knife out. I think it's worth your time. Thanks.